Hi everyone, as you know, I'm Steve Main here with Dr. Rodney Van Pelt today, and we're going to talk about what Dr. Rodney eats in a day. Just kind of get a feeling from him about why he eats what he eats and what his kind of philosophy is as a physician. So before we find out what you eat, doctor, tell us a
Mhm.
little bit about yourself and how your thought process changed as a doctor through your career and so on. So just give us a really short, a brief, description of who you are.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Steve. Nice to talk with you this morning. And I'm a medical doctor. I was trained at Loma Linda University Medical School in Southern California, and trained in conventional medicine. Trained to use drugs and surgery to solve medical problems. That's the model that I was raised in. That's the right and left hand of conventional medicine, is drugs and surgery. And after practicing for 3 years, I was discouraged, and I felt like I was chronicling the demise of my patients, just recording in a book, burning through a prescription pad every day, and just recording on paper, that their blood pressure is, gradually getting higher and higher. Their blood sugars are getting out of control again. They're gaining weight, and so I was really ready to quit medicine entirely at that time. Shortly into my career, a long time ago, right, very early in my career, I was ready to become a truck driver, a plumber, a locksmith. I didn't know what, but just not medicine. And I was introduced at that time, thankfully, to natural medicine, and that began a shift in my life to looking for answers to the problems that was much more, comes around to prevention of the problems more than treating the symptoms of problems. And so 25 years I did prolotherapy, a treatment, natural treatment for treating painful necks, backs, and joints without surgery. And had, really good success at that and loved it, and I'm retired now. And in the process, I learned a lot about, supplements and diet, and had a lot of other natural medicine colleagues. And so it was helpful to me. And I, as we talked a little earlier, I shared with you that I feel better now at 63 than I did when I was 35. I have made, additional, changes along the way. As far as my diet goes, I've been all over the map. I was raised a vegetarian from childhood to about 30 years of age or so, with eating cheese and eggs and milk, but no fish, meat, or fowl. And then I began to eat some meat, and I've been, a carnivore, a vegetarian. I've been a vegan. I've tried I have been all over the map as far as diet, and we're going to get into, where I am now that has led me to feel better than I have in, decades, really. Um, but that's kind of the path of how I got where I am now.
That's perfect. So that'll give you kind of a platform of why you eat what you eat. And as you all know, if you're watching this channel, watching any of these interviews, you know that we're giving our opinion. I'm not a doctor. He's a doctor, but this is not medical advice. I'm not a big advocate of studies and so on, because if we were all the same, all we'd need is one person for a study. So everyone's different, and you got to find that sweet spot for you. That's why we do these interviews. So take it for what it's worth. These are our opinions and what we feel works for us. So we'll take it from there. So let's talk about what a typical day is for you eating, doctor. Do you intermittent fast? Do you go a certain amount of time? Do you have an eating window? I don't know. So I'm asking to start with that. Do you have an eating window? Is it 12 hours that maybe you fast? Is it 14? Is it 16? So, or is it not at all? So tell us about that first.
Yeah, thank you. I actually do fast periodically, for health and for religious purposes, actually. But daily, I do what some refer to as intermittent fasting, where I have an eating window of about 8 hours. I kind of eat breakfast at 10 and lunch at 2 and dinner about 6. And that's my intention, is to have then a 16-hour window between dinner and the following breakfast. And I do that to promote metabolic flexibility, to have my body be prepared and able to shift readily, quickly, easily between metabolizing or burning carbohydrates and burning fat.
Well, so this is everyone listening that has a lot of medical experience. And so let's start with, and his research this, and I know you still research supplements, and we have a lot of interviews to come that are going to be really interesting about the different supplements that you take, why you take supplements, do you take supplements, should you, on and on and on. So stay tuned to see some of these other interviews. So what's the first thing you put in your body when you break your fast at 10 o'clock? Say, this is in general.
Yes, right. And most mornings, in fact, that's what I had this morning. I have a green shake, a smoothie that I make, and it has green bananas, strawberries, blueberries, MCT oil. Let's see, I have to think about it in the order that I put things in here. I put some pure stevia powder in there to make it more palatable. I have a big scoop of turmeric and wheatgrass juice powder goes in there, cacao powder, protein powder, and mushroom extract powder, and some water.
Sounds like that is very thought out. So you want to tell us a little bit about why you put some of this stuff? I know turmeric, we talked a little bit about before we got on camera about inflammation, but so tell us about why you put some of this stuff in this cocktail that you drink first thing in the morning. That's the first thing that hits your stomach.
Right, and yeah, virtually everything in there reduces inflammation, and intermittent fasting does too. By the way, it reduces inflammation in our bodies. It's good for our microbiome. The fasting, the intermittent fasting is as well. But I neglected to mention cinnamon also. I put a lot of cinnamon in there as well. And cinnamon is anti-inflammatory. Each of the things is, I think, I don't know that protein powder is, and I'm using a mixture of pea and quinoa protein powder. But the cacao, even stevia, pure stevia, a lot of stevia is adulterated, and we have to be on guard for where it is sourced from and how it is processed into what we're taking, because even stevia can be toxic. So all of the things are anti-inflammatory, and they support the immune system, nourish the microbiome, the gut. That's our bacteria, the healthy bacteria in our gut. Hopefully, we have healthy bacteria in our gut, and these things are to help build it. The healthy fats in MCT oil they're just good for us in so many ways. That and omega-3s, which I primarily get from a wild Alaskan fish oil. But I like oils. Oils are good for my body.
So tell us about how you changed inflammation in your body by changing your diet. It's pretty amazing.
It is. I went from a high inflammatory state where I had knee pain and back pain, and I wasn't feeling good. I had neutropenia. That's a medical name for a low white blood cell count. The specific white blood cells are neutrophils, and my count was low. And in fact, my thrombocyte count was low also. Those are platelets, and that was low as well. And my doctors thought I had cancer. They sent me to an oncologist, and the oncologist did 2 bone marrow biopsies and couldn't find any cancer. Thankfully, they did CT scan on my chest and abdomen, couldn't find any cancer. And but at the time, I was eating like pretty good food, but eating quite a bit of carbohydrates, lots of grains, whole grain bread, whole grains, and some sugar. Excuse me, I should have turned the phone off to start with. And when they did the CT scan, thankfully they didn't find any cancer anywhere in my body, but they did find that I had fatty liver disease. And my doctor told me there's no cure for that. There's nothing you can do. You could just quit drinking and lose weight. Well, I was already at my ideal body weight, and I didn't drink alcohol at all and never have. So, I went and researched it and found out carbohydrates are the cause of fatty liver disease and not alcohol per se. I mean, alcohol will do it, but I would submit primarily because alcohol is a carbohydrate. And so anyway, lots of carbohydrates are the cause of fatty liver disease. And so I changed to a really low carbohydrate diet and made lots of changes. I was a vegetarian already, but I increased the amount of vegetables in my diet. Vegetarian's not the right word. I was eating meat also. See, I'm the kind of vegetarian who eats meat. And so I began but I increased the amount of vegetables, really, just lots and lots of them, healthy oils, made some significant shifts in my eating, and a lot less carbohydrates, and really a lot more fat, okay, in my diet at this time also. And I did reduce my inflammation. A really good marker that I like to follow for inflammation is CRP. It stands for C-reactive protein. It's a simple blood test that your doctor can order for you, and we want a high sensitivity, or HS-CRP, and we want that to be low. High levels are associated with heart disease. That's one place where they will check for HS-CRP, is to check your risk for heart disease. Turns out you're checking your risk for almost every disease with a CRP. And so mine went from relatively high, 5 or 6, down until the last one I had was undetectable, less than 0.1, which is as low as the lab can detect. I mean, they just can't detect any lower than that. So anyway, I consider that good news, and that ultimately, I think, is why I feel better, than I have in a long time, as my inflammation level throughout my body is lower than it's ever been. I'm more energetic and have less pains, in my body than I have in a long time.
Wow. So yeah, inflammation's a big deal, and it can mess up your body, but it's amazing what you can do with your diet. And you've made these modifications, and you said you feel better now than you're twice as old as when you didn't feel as good. That is amazing. So I want to hear more about your diet. We're running a little short on time. Is it okay if we bring you back and do a part 2 and talk more about what you eat, because we got to breakfast. That's about it.
Yeah, there's a lot more to the day, and sure, let's talk about it next
Okay,
time.
so that's Dr. Rodney Van Pelt, and we're talking about what Dr. Rodney eats in a day. We found out a lot about the intermittent fasting and why he does what he does and what he was able to accomplish for his health in this. So please join us for part 2 of what Dr. Rodney eats in a day, and we will see you soon. Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Steve. Have a great day.